Today on Community Uplift, what is the definition of social action in Prince George's County? The Qs are setting a prime example, and that is what we're talking about today, so don't go away. Community Uplift is next.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I do solemnly swear to bear true faith and allegiance.
To help you when you're in need.
To be courageous and strong.
For better.
For worse.
To be your loving, faithful friend, child, parent, neighbor.
Learn how you can help a veteran experiencing mental health challenges at maketheconnection.net.
Hello, I'm Denise Roberts, and welcome to Community Uplift. When it comes to community service and giving back, Omega Psi Phi fraternity has certainly made a name for itself, especially here in Prince George's County in the Gamma Phi Chapter. And today we're talking about some of the amazing social action programs Gamma Pi Omega Psi Phi has been taking the lead on in the Prince George's County community. Our guests today are Tony Lee, the bossilus of the Gamma Pi Qs, Kevin Greenwood, Social Action Chairman for Omega Psi Phi Gamma Pi, Ian Greenwood, his son, a participant in Omega Psi Phi's Q Kids program, Fern Mosley, Public Relations Chairman for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the Iota Gamma Omega Chapter, and Melvern McCautry, NAACP Voter Registration Chairman for the Gamma Pi Chapter. First up is Tony Lee, the current president of Prince George's County Chapter of Omega Psi Phi. Welcome back, as always, to the show.
Thank you, Denise. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yes, yes, yes. So, you know, we're August, so we're coming. The summer is winding down. What has Gamma Pi been up to?
Well, we've been on break since June, and we're gearing up as we prepare for our chapter workshop, which will be taking place in August as we carry out all of our planning and preparation for the next fraternity year. We also just completed our leadership conference in Atlantic City, and so we have been working very hard to continue our mandated programming in the chapter.
And so, wow, so your chapter is called the Super Chapter, right?
That is correct.
So the Super Chapter, what's coming up next?
Well, we have a number of events taking place. Actually, this week we'll be celebrating our annual chapter fish fry, where we bring all of our chapter brothers together and their families, and we have a wonderful time of fun, food, and fellowship. And then after that, we will be going into our chapter workshop later on in August, and then we'll kick off our upcoming year in September with our first official meeting from the summer break.
Okay, now you're coming to the end of your third term?
That is correct.
Okay, so how are you feeling about that?
Well, I'm excited about the conclusion of 3 terms. It's been a pleasure to serve the brotherhood, and so I am pleasantly surprised that this 3rd term is ending. It has been an honor, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a challenge whenever you're dealing with type A personalities and you're dealing with men, but I've been able to survive and overcome. They elected me 3 times, so that says that they have confidence in my ability to lead them.
Okay, and so what's next for you?
That's, I've been approached to consider some other opportunities
Like
on the
what?
district level. I don't want to go into that on the air, but I have some opportunities that have been presented to me on the district level and perhaps on the international level. So I'm kind of contemplating, but most importantly, I just want to take some time to kind of relax and regroup and recuperate. So we'll see what happens in the next coming year.
No hints at all. I mean, come on.
Let's just say I will continue to serve in some capacity.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work being president. isn't
It really is.
Yeah.
It's an extreme amount of work.
Yeah, but it's rewarding too.
Rewarding and fulfilling.
Okay, so, from your perspective as the leader of this super chapter, how'd you get that name, by the way?
The Super Chapter is a moniker that was given to the chapter because of its consistent social action programming. And so on the district level, we've won a number of awards for our social action programming. And so because we won, I think it was 5 straight years, they dubbed us the Super Chapter. The chapter has been very active in social action programming and providing support to our community.
And how does the chapter connect to the community through social action?
Well, we have our social action chair, who you'll have an opportunity to talk to later on, Kevin Greenwood, has done a phenomenal job of keeping his hand on the pulse. We provide an extreme amount of social action programming to our constituents and to the citizens of Prince George's County and surrounding jurisdictions. We have a mentoring program for youth. We have our Project Enrich program that reaches out to our high school students. And then we do a number of other social action programming throughout the county. We do our Christmas and April programming. We do baskets for Thanksgiving. We do toy drives. We do a number of things. We do we restore homes.
Okay.
So there's a number of things that we do social action wise.
Restoring homes, are you talking about projects like Christmas in April?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And we assist seniors. We assist those who are in need. We
Okay.
do community cleanups and projects. We do a number of different things. So.
Seniors, they're like one of my favorite groups of people in Prince
Oh,
George's
we
County.
love our seniors.
Yeah,
We do a senior citizens banquet every year where we
Okay.
provide them with an opportunity to come and have a wonderful time of food and fellowship.
And do you
then we
focus on just one senior facility, or do you go around the
We
county?
do throughout the county. We do throughout the county. We bring senior citizens in from all over the county.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. What is the legacy of Gamma Pi when it comes to social action?
It is a tremendous legacy. In fact, we just placed second place in large chapters this year in social action programming on the district level in our fraternity. So it's a major thrust. It's a major part of what we do. And we provide uplift to our community, and we want to continue to do that as much as we can.
Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of work ahead of you this coming year. And I'm sure that whoever comes after you has big shoes to fill.
I would hope so, and not just because I have big feet, but because I've done a big job.
Yeah, you've done a big job. You've done a great job, I would imagine.
Thank you, Denise. I appreciate
yeah. Tony Lee, thank you so much for being on the show today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Denise, for having me.
Okay. Don't go away, because we will be back to talk about a very important topic, social action. Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in with us on Community Uplift. Our next guests are doing some really great things for the Prince George's County community. Kevin Greenwood, Social Action Chairman for Omega Psi Phi Gamma Pi, and a very special guest, his son, Ian, a participant in Omega Psi Phi's Q Kids program, and Fern Mosley, Public Relations Chair of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the Iota Gamma Omega chapter. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Good, good. So, I'm going to start with you, Kevin. What are some of the social action, what is social action, and define it in the context of Omega Psi Phi?
Social action basically is giving back to the community. In our fraternity, we're men that are educated. We've all been given opportunities, so it's only right that we give back to our constituents in the community. In regards to the youth, we work with senior citizens and all in between. But it's our duty as men on this earth to give back to our community. And that's what we define social action as.
Sounds like a great example to set for your son here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what kind of activities does Gamma Pi undertake as part of social action?
Well, with social action, we have several programs. One of them is Q Kids. We mentor children between the ages of 5 and 13. We teach them about history, teach them about etiquette. I mean, we try to go throughout the whole realm of just being a good citizen. The last session that we had in May, we actually had a robotics class. So it was a STEM class. So a lot of the kids that were there, they hadn't had STEM classes before. They didn't even understand what it was. So we always start out our programs giving them an explanation of what it is. So we actually explain what STEM was. In this particular program, we had about 12 robotic kits. There were various robotic kits. Most of the children had never built a robot. So when we set it up, we had about 2 or 3 brothers per child, just to make sure if they needed help. But these kids were so robust and ready to go that they just cracked open the cases and just started working and started building these cases. I mean, there were some that you'd have like a can of soda, but you'd have legs on it so it would crawl. Then you had like a hovercraft, and they had to build that from scratch. There was another one that was really interesting. You had a saltwater kit, and then you had a battery kit. So you had slurry, they had to mix that, and when they finished putting the wheels and everything on it, they had to actually put droplets of the saline on it, solution, and then it would move. So they were actually able to build a battery. So you're talking about having something where you're not actually purchasing a battery, you're actually building it, and it was just exciting to watch them.
Okay. So since you're on Q Kids, how do children participate? How do they enroll, or what's your process for?
Well, our program is through the Kentland community, and basically we work with the directors. They have kids that come in to the community center on a daily basis. So we have a good relationship with them. So we'll give them a plan. We usually plan out our activities a year in advance, so we know exactly what dates, what the sessions will be. Then they'll just have the kids come in. There's even cases where we've gotten to know some of the parents, so they would call us or we'd call them and say, hey, we're gonna be here on the 3rd Saturday. They come in, we provide them with a nutritious breakfast. We go into our lesson for the day. They get lunch, and they get to interact with the brothers. And with that, they learn about our fraternity and who we are as men, and we're examples for them.
Okay. And Mr. Ian, how are you today?
Good.
I'm so happy to have you here today. How old are you?
9.
9? What school do you go to?
Riverdale Baptist School.
Okay, and you're doing well in school?
Yes.
Yeah. So you are in the Q Kids program, right?
Yes.
What was your experience like there?
It was really fun. You could meet new people and do lots of cool stuff.
Like what kinds of things did you get to do?
Like we would do robotic things, like you would build stuff, and sometimes we would like go on trips, like fishing trips and stuff like that.
Okay. Sounds good. Is that something you think you'll want to do again next year?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So, let's go back to social action. How does Gamma Pi target specific communities for social action outreach?
Well, basically, we use a formula that we've used for years. So a lot of times, we already have a schedule, and we'll go back and work with the same locations. But at the same time, we have so many different outreach mechanisms that new people come to us all the time.
Okay.
And we work with them. So we'll have like new programs that we'll work,
Okay.
on, and then we'll still have the traditional ones that we have as well.
Okay.
One of the things that that we're a part of is with Prince George's County, they have the Momentum Conference.
Okay.
So we've been a part of that for the past 3 years.
Okay.
And there you have an influx of different organizations.
Okay.
So we're able to meet people, find out what their interests are. They see what we have because we have a booth set up and we showcase all of our programs.
Okay.
So we develop relationships that way as well.
Okay. So Fern,
Yes.
how are you
I'm good.
today? Why don't you give us some background on your chapter and the profile of Iota Gamma Omega?
Yes, well, we are the largest graduate chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority in the North Atlantic region, and we have over 500 members, and we're located in Lanham, Maryland. And so we were chartered in 1970, so we are approaching our 50th chapter anniversary, and we are one of 3 Alpha Kappa Alpha chapters, graduate chapters in the county, and we feel as though we have set the standard for service in Prince George's County because we are the oldest charter chapter in the county. So,
Okay, and your chapter and Gamma Pi are joining together to do some social action things, right?
Yes.
How was that initiated, and what is involved?
well, we've been working with the Gamma Pi chapter for probably about 4 years now, and it started actually when we had one of our criminal records expungement fairs, and that was the first time that I learned of our partnership with Gamma Pi chapter. And so since then, we really worked on a lot of our environmental programs, and they were really just instrumental in helping us with our playground project, where we renovated the playground at District Heights Elementary School over a 3-year period. And then also they've always helped us with our environmental cleanups with the Anacostia Watershed Society. And really due to a large part of our involvement with them, we actually won our regional award for our environmental programs, and we really have to thank the Gamma Pi chapter for all of their help because they were very instrumental in those programs with us.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, that sounds exciting. Now, and Gamma Pi won an award for social action this year at your conference as well, right?
Yes, we did. We did. We won second place large chapter of the year in second district.
Okay.
That was amazing for us.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we just go in and do the work. We're not thinking about awards, but to be recognized when there's hundreds of chapters that are in the second district, for us to get second place, that really meant something. A lot of brothers were inspired, but we just work hard.
Oh,
That's all we do.
that's great. That's really great. So, Fern, tell me, what does social action mean to AKA?
So for us, our social action means that we are planning and implementing strategies really to just effectuate political and social change in the community. So we have our political action targets, and then we have our community targets, but they're always linked under various standards, target areas, education, health promotion, really just uplifting families in the community.
And through your outreach efforts, what have you been focusing on specifically in the local community?
So right now we are aggressively registering and educating voters, and we've actually worked with the National Panhellenic Council to actually train people to be certified to register voters. So we send people out into the community to register voters, and we also engage in a lot of community voter registration drives. So we've been busy this summer.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
It's an important initiative now more than ever. Now,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
voter registration,
Right.
but not only voter registration, but to just galvanize voters and just get out the vote. It's
Right.
more critical now than ever, right?
Right, and
Yeah.
to educate people on the issues and what's important to them.
Okay.
So
Well, listen,
we've
this
done
has
a
been
lot
a
of
great segment. It's been really great talking to you, and I'm so glad to have met you, Ian.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Kevin and Ian and Fern, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well,
I really
thank you.
enjoyed talking to you, and looking forward to seeing what comes out of all of the many good things that you're doing in the community.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Don't go away. We've got more action and less talk when we come back.
Us. It's what this country is made of. A helping hand, a shoulder to lean on. Different voices.
Hello.
One sacred bond. But right now, that bond is fraying. Where do we find common ground? How do we get back to us? The why fills the gaps and bridges our divides. Now, more than ever, the why needs your support. Because where there's a why, there's an us. For a better us, support your local why today.
Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in with us on Community Uplift. Next up, we have Melvin McCautry, NAACP Voter Registration Chairman for the Gamma Pi Chapter. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you. Welcome. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So voter registration, this is such an important topic and one of my favorite things to talk about. Tell me, what do you do as the chair?
Okay, my primary function is to coordinate activities of Gamma Pi Chapter with the local Prince George's County NAACP.
Okay.
For about 10 or 12 years, I was wearing two hats. I was the chapter chairman, and I'm also was the chairman of the NAACP Voter Empowerment Program for Prince George's County.
Okay.
So between those two, that's how I got involved in this activity.
Okay.
In addition, my third hat is working as a certified trainer for the Board of Elections to train voter registration volunteers within Prince George's County. Because technically speaking, if you're going to do voter registration, you have to be trained and certified as a sworn election official.
Okay, and so what are some of the activities of the Voter Registration Committee?
Okay, our Voter Registration Committee, we work with not reinventing the wheel, but we use the NAACP Voter Empowerment Program tools and publications and literature that we go out to the communities on our own. We either go like to community groups, to churches, we work with Masonics, we work with AKAs, Deltas, we work with other community groups, PTAs, unions, any group that is interested in going out and doing voter registration. We try to assist and provide support and guidance, and if necessary, I do training also for the members of that organization so that they can amplify their outreach.
Okay, and do these organizations reach out to you, or do you reach out to them?
It's a combination of both. In many cases, most of the brothers are affiliated either with a major church or some of them are in the Masonic Temple or they belong to other organizations. They will come back and say, this organization wants to do a voter registration drive. Can we ramp up to assist and support them? Or a lot of times I get calls, people call the Board of Elections. And the Board of Elections will then send me out either to do training at a particular location or a union or organization. In addition, sometimes when the board is short, we will actually go out and do voter registration events like the county fair, churches, community days, that kind of event.
Okay, and do your activities mirror the activities with the upcoming elections, you know, and is it getting more intense as we get closer to this presidential election?
It's going to. It's kind of on the slow side right now, but as we get closer to about 8 or 9 months out, that's when it has really ramped up. And most of the groups and the organizations who are planning right now, getting their people trained and positioned and deciding just what's going to be the scope of their operations, it's a graduated scale. The closer and closer you get to the election, there's more and more individuals that come up. We're training right now, maybe 2 sessions at Bowie this month, but that's like maybe 80 students, and they're all representing like 13 different groups who will be going out to do voter registration, voter education, voter mobilization. The biggest focus is, for most cases, not so much the registration as mobilization, getting people who are already registered in the system to actually go vote.
Exactly.
That is the killer, and that's what we really need to work on in terms of public service, you know, communications, public outreach, working with organizations, going to organizations and explaining, look, this is important. This is part of something that we have to do as an obligation as citizens. So get up and go and take somebody with you. Right.
Sure. So do you have targeted goals for this upcoming 2020 presidential election?
Honestly, not at this point. We generally do come up with goals, but we work usually within NAACP normally has a projection of what their activities should be in each NAACP branch. So I will usually feed off of that, and that goal, when it is published, will then be distributed. We will work on it in the chapter. We will bring brothers together and decide how much of that we can actually work on. Like, for example, right now, there's like 468,000 Democrats in Prince George's County registered, 40,000 Republicans, and about 73,000 unaffiliated. So you got a total of about 591,000 and a few who are registered to vote right now, but you're dealing with a population of like 900,000. So there's probably about 150,000 in that extra group that would be our focus to try to get through whatever means we can, as many of those individuals registered to vote.
Okay, so that's the profile, right, of the voter registration in Prince George's County.
Right.
What do you think it takes to get these people out?
I
mean, because we've got a problem in Prince George's County. I mean, really. I mean, the percentage of the number of voters or the number of registered voters that actually get out to vote are very low.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. According to the Board of Elections, Prince George's statistics, about half of the people come out for midterms and about 3/4 come out for the general election. But to answer your question, I wish I knew the answer to that question, because it comes down to motivation. We can beg and plead. We try to educate and inform individuals of the history of all of the trauma and trials that went into getting the right to vote in the first place, how important it is. One of the things that we do in terms of voter education is saying, listen, you need to look at your local elections as well, not just the national election. You need to focus on the local elections, because they're the ones who are going to affect your livelihood right now. They're going to pass bills that all of a sudden you look up and it's a new law.
And I think part of the education that needs to have a focus is the fact that it's not the general. More people come out for the general as opposed to the primary. When it's in Prince George's County, it's the primary that wins the election.
Exactly. And see, Maryland is a closed primary state, which means that you have to register for a party in order to participate in that party's primary. And it is most important because all the local elections you want, the state reps, that is where you do most of the decisions in Maryland, is at the primary. That's where we really need to focus, but we got to make it personal. A lot of folks, when I'm doing training, I run into folks all the time who say, well, I don't want to do it, my vote doesn't count. The trouble of trying to persuade individuals who don't really see the connection between how significant their vote is. We can give them statistics of how many elections have been affected by a handful of votes, but for some reason they just don't have the emotional connection. It's not personal, and I don't know the answer to how to make it that way.
Right now, I mean, it's evident all over the news. You can't miss it.
Exactly.
It's time to get out and vote. This election cycle.
Exactly. There's a lot riding on it. That people have to be aware. They've got to accept that it is in their best interest to do it.
Absolutely. Melvin, where can people go online to get information about registration, polling places, and other voter information?
Okay, the primary place that individuals can go is to the state or the county Board of Elections website. And I can read that here, but it's elections.maryland.gov/index.html, or basically Elections Maryland will take you to the State Board of Elections. That is an excellent source because they have a section called the Frequently Asked Questions, where they talk about information about provisional ballots, where the polling places are, how to register, where to get information, how to deal with provisional ballots, how to get absentee ballots. And that's a big one too. We have a lot of students.
Melvin, thank you so much. I gotta cut you off, but you heard it here. Get out to vote for this next election.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we're out of time, but I want to say thank you again to all of our guests today. Tony Lee, Kevin Greenwood, Little Ian Greenwood, Fern Mosley, and Melvin McCautry. And that's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in to Community Uplift. For more information about the show or any of the programs led by Gamma Pi and how you too can get involved, go to GammaPi.org. It's also on Twitter at Gamma Pi Qs, and on Facebook, Gamma Pi Chapter, and the YouTube channel is Gamma Pi Chapter. Thank you again for watching. I'm Denise Roberts, your host, and we'll see you next time on Community Uplift.